legislators both at the state level, city government, federal government, they seek to legislate morality. And personally, I find that rather problematic because the real question becomes, upon what do you base your moral view and view of what others should do, and your own personal view of political correctness? And when you introduce the element of force, which is what government is force, upon others, that they themselves don't want that same force to be put on them. And this is definitely something we face and deal with on a daily basis, and something that we need to be constantly paying attention to, laws enacted at our city level, at our state level, and of course by the federal government. So I'm going to share with you a quote from a former LDS prophet, Ezra Taft Benson. "Most of the major ills of the world have been caused by well-meaning people who've ignored the principle of individual freedom, except as applied to themselves, and were obsessed with fanatical zeal to improve a lot of mankind in the mass through some pet formula of their own. The harm done by ordinary criminals, murderers and gangsters and thieves is negligible in comparison to the agony inflicted upon human beings by the professional do-gooder who attempts to set themselves up as gods on earth and who would ruthlessly force their views on all others, with abiding assurance that the ends justify the means." So I encourage you to think about what has transpired in America, what continues to transpire as we pay attention, but just a perfect example of how the effect of your ability to have your religious views and practice them freely in the countries where they've actually sought to create a communist or fascist or total control mentality society. The first thing they did, if you're paying attention, is remove from people's ability to own their own Bibles, they burned them, or to own religious icons. And two of the best examples of that were in Nazi Germany as well as in the former Soviet Union. Because what those governments do is they seek to replace God. They say, we're going to provide everything you need. You don't need God anymore as a result. You don't need to pray to God for anything because we're going to give you everything you need. And that's a very dangerous situation that I feel like increasingly we see more and more of that creep happening in this nation, and it's something we need to fight against and seek to protect those freedoms. So if we value our religious freedom, let us read our religious texts, the Bible, whether it's the Bible, whether it's the Book of Mormon, whether it's the Quran, whether it's the Torah, or humanitarian or other secular books. Anyone who has lived long as I have has heard again and again the sweet talk that leads to victory, but that seems never to be realized thereafter. It is imperative that good people, men and women of principle, being involved in the political process, otherwise we abdicate power to those who desires are most entirely selfish. Gordon B. Hinckley. Please, I encourage you, it is your civic duty. Stand up for your First Amendment, for your Second Amendment, for all your rights, because if any were to be taken, they can take one, they can take them all. And I leave this with you today, and I appreciate you coming out tonight, and have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Darcy. Next, we're going to hear from a great man who